Before we jump into the episode today, I want to share something with you from my heart. First of all, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I really can't tell you how much your support means to me. We've been doing the podcast now for almost 4 years. I can't even believe it. And I'm so grateful for each and every single one of you that listens, shares an episode with your friends, sends me a DM or a text message letting me know how an episode resonated with you or any aha moments. Seriously, I couldn't be more grateful to be able to create this podcast. It has been such a blessing in my life, and I love hearing the ways it's been able to provide value in yours as well. One thing you might not know is how much work it takes to be consistent with a podcast. In fact, did you know that the majority of podcasts don't make it past episode number 10? And we are well beyond that. And it's just a lot thinking of the episodes, recording them, editing them, managing the guests, making sure that everything runs smoothly and gets uploaded consistently and regularly. And so that's why I have created an amazing opportunity for you to support the podcast monetarily. And in exchange for that, you will get exclusive premium subscriber content. So for as little as $3 a month, you can become a premium subscriber of the podcast. And every month I will upload new voice-guided workouts and breathwork meditation audio for you. So that way you can work out with me, coaching you in your ears. You can also take a moment to reduce your stress and relax and come down and ground down with one of my breathwork audios. So if that is on your heart to support the podcast for as little as $3 a month to become a premium podcast subscriber, I can't tell you how much that means to me and the growth of this podcast. I appreciate you. If you're interested, click the link in the description, become a premium podcast subscriber, new content every month, and while supplies last, I'll send you an exclusive podcast coffee mug so you can have your self-love and sweat coffee every morning. I appreciate you. Now let's get into the show. Welcome to Self-Love and Sweat, the podcast, the place where you'll get inspired to live your life unapologetically, embrace your perfect imperfections, break down barriers, and do what sets your soul on fire. I'm your host, Lunden Souza. Hey friend, it's me, Lunden Souza, online lifestyle transformation coach. I help people all over the world just like you who know they are meant for more, get their mind right and their body tight, and go from crazy busy to crazy happy. And hey, if it's our first time meeting, welcome. So happy to have you. And if you've been with us for a while, it's so great that you're here too. I'm really excited to share this episode of the Self-Love and Sweat podcast with you. Our next guest is Yulia. She is a wife, mother of 5, dance, fitness, and CrossFit coach. She's actually my CrossFit coach, in fact, and a kindergarten teacher. And if you're already exhausted after that one sentence, don't worry, I am too. I get a lot of questions about motivation. And so here with us today is the epitome of fit mom motivation in my book. Welcome to Self-Love and Sweat, the podcast, Yulia.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
I'm so happy to have you here. This is such a treat. So Yulia, like I said, she's my CrossFit coach. I met her through CrossFit. I started going to the CrossFit gym here where I live in Upper Austria to CrossFit 4020. It was next door, or it is next door to the Adidas Runtastic headquarters where I used to work every day. And yeah, it was so cool. When I first met her, I was like, or when I first met you, I was like, oh my gosh, this girl is so fit, so strong. And then when I found out that you had 5 children, 5, not like grown children out of the house children, but like 5 children in the house, I was like, oh my gosh, she is just firecracker. And you're such a huge motivator in my life. And also just in general, fit moms motivate me so much because I'm not a mom. But I just see, the amount of work and dedication that goes into my health and fitness. And I'm just one person. I'm running my show. I'm doing my thing. And you have a whole tribe. And so I'm excited to have you here because I know that our listeners will absolutely love you just as much as I do. And also just to pick your brain of how you do that. And so how did your fitness journey start? Have you always been into fitness? Let's start there before the kids.
Well, I grew up in I'd say fit family. So my parents always did some kind of sports. And I used to be big on dancing. I'm still really once a dancer, always a dancer is what I say. So in my heart, I'm still a dancer. So I grew up with doing classical ballet. But here in Austria, it's different than in the States. Here you usually go once a week and that's it because you don't have those school afternoon sports activities at all. So no matter what you do, your parents always have to drive you. And for me, at one point, I went 3 times a week, and that's a lot for Austrian people here. But I just loved it, and I guess I was good at it. And later, I became a dance teacher. But it was never as much fitness as I do now with CrossFit. So CrossFit is just another level of fitness, I'd say. But I grew up having sports as a regular part of my life just because it keeps you healthy. If you want to be healthy in your life, you have to do something, and it doesn't have to be extreme. But if you want to stay healthy for longer, even when you grow old, you have to do something. You have to find something that you love. So yeah, I started with dancing, and then through my husband, I met CrossFit. He came home one day saying, "Hey, so there's this guy who wants to open up a CrossFit box, and he's looking for a partner, and I want to be the partner." And I'm like, "Okay, so what's CrossFit?" And so that is when I came in contact with CrossFit for the first time. And I liked it right away. I did it a couple times a week sometimes. And the thing that I've noticed there is at the time I had 2 little kids at home and a baby. So Cece was a couple months old. She was really small. And number 1 and 2 for me, my first baby and second baby were really close within each other. So there was not much recovery time for my body. And then third kid comes along and you just, you gain weight every single pregnancy. And then I started doing CrossFit a little bit and I saw how my body transformed and I liked it. It felt really nice. I like doing the sports, and all of a sudden you can see so much more results than I did with all the dancing that I did before. And that kind of got me hooked. So after Cece, we had Mac. And Mac was our 4th child. And I had a really hard pregnancy. That was the worst pregnancy ever. I just felt sick from beginning till the end. And I didn't want to lift heavy anymore. So I had to stop pretty much doing any kinds of sports, which made me gain even more weight and just feel really uncomfortable with my body. And after Mac was born, I was like, okay, so my body's just drained. I can't have another kid for the next few years anyway, even though me and my husband still felt like we want another kid. But I was like, okay, I can't do it. My body is it's done. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to have another pregnancy for the next years. So I can actually really work on my body to feel comfortable myself again. And I started working out a lot. I went to the box, with the kids. I had the kids on the bobby cars. We had a swing that I could mount on the side on the wall rack. So the kids could swing in that swing, even with the little ones, like a little crib. And baby would just sleep there. And I tried just to work out as much as possible. And then we also did a fitness room in the basement. So I would put the kids asleep. The older ones were in preschool, and I would just go in the basement and try to train for an hour or 2 just to get it done. And I got really strong. I got faster. My lungs got so much better. I was, when I was 4, I was diagnosed with asthma. And I was in a hospital for 2 weeks because I could not breathe. And that was a constant friend on my side all these years. And all of a sudden, as doing so much sports, that was gone too. Try to eat healthier too. And all these things came together. And all of a sudden, these allergies that I had with me my whole 20 years is almost gone. But there were just so many things that came together that made me want to do even more sports. And then I got pregnant again. That was not planned. We had 1.5 years between Mac and Skylar, which is actually pretty close just because, yeah, we were careful. Like Skylar should not have happened, but she has it in her name now. In German, sky and heaven, we have the same word. It's both Himmel. Himmel is sky and Himmel is heaven. So I was like, I want to have something in her name that is like reflects that she was just sent to us. She had to come into our family at this point. And because I trained so much before, so extreme, because I was like, I can do this now, it's actually lasting longer, which it didn't because I just got pregnant again. My body was really strong. And that was by far the easiest pregnancy, even the delivery. Like I pushed the baby out, no problem. And people could say it's the 5th pregnancy, but I really felt like it had to do a lot with just how strong my body was because of all the training that I did beforehand. And there's a video that you can find on Instagram on the Monday, beginning of January. And on Saturday, the following Saturday, Skylar was born. So throughout the whole pregnancy, I had no problem doing sports at all. And I did it, and it was awesome. And then after Skylar was born, I was like, okay, this is my 5th kid. I deserve a break. I'm going to be home for the next 2 months, just laying in bed, doing bare minimum, just eating whatever I want. Yeah, it took 10 days and I was back at the gym because I was like, I'm going insane. I need to do some sports.
So it totally changed your body, your pregnancy, the outcome after that. Did you ever deal I see a lot of, and especially now with social media and just being at the age that I am, and a lot of friends and acquaintances and just people that I've met throughout my career, have posted, that they're on their first kid or second kid. And I recently saw a post from a friend of mine talking about how she was receiving a lot of comments and messages. Oh, you're starting to work out too early. You're working out too late into your pregnancy. I know that every person is different and every pregnancy is different, but did you ever encounter any kickback from anybody in your life who was just telling you to slow down, stop training so hard?
Yes, of course, especially in the pregnancies. I remember having dance classes where I already had a little tummy, but I felt really comfortable still dancing. And people would leave my class because they were like, I can't watch this. You should not be doing this. But 2 things were really nice for me. Number one, I had a doctor who every time I came in to check on the baby was like, so how's your sports going? And I told him all the things that I did. And he was like, oh, cool, nice. Hey, that's pretty cool. So my physician told me that everything I did was fine. So who are you to tell me that it's not fine when my doctor actually thinks it's fine? And then the next thing for me was, especially with every pregnancy that came along, every single pregnancy was different for me too. I'm one person, and yet I had 5 different pregnancies with different problems. Sometimes I had water, and then the next pregnancy I had no water at all. It's just stuff like that. Every single pregnancy was different. So no matter who you are, it's not my place to tell you what you can do in your pregnancy because it will be different for you than it was for me. And the same for you. If you tell me that this was so great during your pregnancy or you could do this, then I believe you. It's sure, but that does not mean that it works for me too or that I can do the things. And what I always tell I have a lot of pregnant ladies actually training with me just because they come in and they're really insecure. And I feel like they get a lot of security from me because I always tell them, first thing I tell them, listen to your body. You know your body the best, and your body tells you what you can do and what you can't do. And the baby is safe. If the baby is not getting enough nourishment, it takes all the nourishment from the mom, and the mom will get sick. So the baby is always protected. The baby is fine. And if you feel like this hurts you, then just stop. Don't do it. And they come and be like, oh, I feel something right here. I'm like, okay, then we do this and that. And I always have something else that they can do. They tell me I can't do pull-ups anymore. Oh, that's no problem. And then I take a bar and one of those rubber bands and wrap it around, and it just pull down that bar. And it's exactly the same muscle groups, but yet they don't really need any of their stomach area, and therefore they can do it. And because I was there, I just have a lot of other things that they can do. And with me, it was the same. I was like, hey, one day I was doing like, let's say pull-ups. I was doing keeping pull-ups, and I went up to the rack like I would do every single day. And I jump up there and I try to do one pull-up. Like, oh, okay, no, that was it. Can't do it anymore. And that was the end of the story. So your body would tell you anyway what you can do. And you just need to have confidence and be like, hey, I'm doing this for me. And the more you train, the more oxygen gets to your baby, and the healthier your baby will be.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's great that you're, paying it forward, if you will, or helping other people, you know, who are going through their pregnancy and wanting to stay fit, wanting to stay healthy, not really even sure exactly what to do. And having someone like you as a coach and leader and inspiration and, hey, been there, done that 5 times. I just feel like, I know how much it's motivated me and impacted my life, that I know that as a mother or somebody coming to you, with their baby inside of them or outside of them, finding a solution and finding a way and finding, like you said, confidence in learning more about their body and kind of, getting to know their body more, especially during such a transition. And so I'm going to ask the question that I know that like everybody is thinking. And I actually, I don't know if I fully know the answer. We're friends and we talk a lot and stuff, but like, okay, so like a day in the life of you have your husband, 5 kids, your work, everything. Like, how do you find the time or make the time to fit in your workouts and to fit in or make time for or think about healthy eating? Because a lot of moms come to me. I work with a lot of moms one-on-one, and it's just like, I feel like I'm doing everything and nothing. I don't know where I'm going to find the time. It's just, and you just really, it seems like as if it's a huge priority for you and you just always find a way. So what does that look like in real life for you, that like process?
So I like how you phrase your words, because you don't really find time when you have 5 kids and a couple of jobs like I do. You have to make time, and it has to be important to you. And it really depends. I'm fortunate that I work at a CrossFit gym, so I can actually go there and I have my classes and then I can train afterwards. But sometimes that looks, I start at 3 with a kids class, and then I have 3 normal adult classes. Then I have a shape class, and then it's 8:00. So for 5 hours, I've done nothing else than teach. And then I start with my training right away, because otherwise it gets too late. So from 8 till 10, I train. And that's got to be worth it to you.
8 to 10 p.m.?
Yes. Or other days, especially during school time, my alarm clock would go off at 4:30 in the morning. And I would go on a run, or I would go in the basement and train, and then do stuff like, not kidding, do like deadlifts and do them super slow and heavy, but you can't like bang the weight around. So you're like, slow down. Okay, don't wake up the kids.
It's like the alarm clock that you care, the noise you can't drop or else your training is done.
And then comes the time like, oh, okay, so it's like 6:30 now, kids got to wake up anyway, buff, drop the weight. And then kids will come downstairs and be like, Mom, you're too late training. Like, yeah, I know, I wanted to wake you up, good morning.
So you do it either in the morning when the kids are in school, or then in the evening afterwards. But like with 5 kids, how does that arrangement process work? I mean, I know that you and your husband are a total tag team, but like it's one thing to set. Okay. So it's one thing to set aside time in the morning and set aside time in the evening for your workout. So like in theory on your calendar, it's there, but how do you really make that time and carve out that time? What are the arrangements and kind of scheduling for your kids and just everybody else in your life look like so that you can make this time for yourself?
Well, I talked to you about that in like January when you helped me get my life together a little bit better. So that was really nice. That helped a lot. So if you are trying to make time, talk to Lunden. She will help you to make time. But we have a really strict plan. Every day is kind of the same, as in Monday is the same as last week Monday, Tuesday is the same as last week Tuesday. Because if you get like, if every day is different and you just have all these extra things, you're going insane. So I know every Monday my kids are in school from that time till that time. And then one kid has to be a piano and the other a guitar. So all these things. And I also have time like, okay, I know exactly every Monday I have time from like this time till that time. Let's say it's half an hour to cook. So I need to make sure that the food that I make the day is done in half an hour. Whereas other days, like Wednesday, I come home from school because I teach in the morning, and then I come home and I know that the food has to be on the table within like 15 minutes. So those are always days where I make something really simple. As in other days, I have like an hour, so I can actually take my time to prepare stuff and make something just take some flour and eggs and mix dough together, whatever it is. And so I already have a food plan. I have a food plan that fits our schedule, that every day is planned. I have my shopping stuff at home. I make sure that nothing else comes along. I have certain days where the kids get to invite somebody. We have certain days. They can only invite somebody over on actually Fridays. Is it before this whole Corona thing started? Because every other day I know there's just too many other things and it will get too complicated. And I don't like too complicated because then it usually interferes with my training.
Yeah.
So we have, everything is really scheduled, and sometimes it's scheduled down to like minutes. I know I have exactly 19 minutes to get this done. And you need less brain work for that if you actually have everything really nicely scheduled, because you don't have to have everything in your head the entire time. It's written down. I look it up in the morning. I have my whole list for the day, and I know when I have to be somewhere. And that helps with the training, because when you have a whole day that is already super full with stuff that you had to think about and had to come up with solutions and had to think about, okay, what am I going to cook? Okay, so what was going on now with that kid? Oh yeah, what do they want for snacks? Like, we have the same snacks every day in the morning. My kids get the same snacks for school every single day, just because I don't care anymore. We have in the freezer, we have some bread and we have some fruits. So every morning I grab the same amount of bread out of the freezer. I defrost it in the microwave. I cut up the fruit in 5 pieces. Say, it's like 3 apples that I cut up. Everybody gets a half apple, or it's like half a cucumber. And that's their snack every single day. It's the same bread for like, I don't know how long now. But they don't complain. They're fine with it.
I was just going to say, if they're cool with it, you don't need to
exactly.
Like, yeah. Finding all the creative snack ways on Pinterest, if they're satisfied.
Oh yeah, it's like I look at him like, oh yeah, that's so nice for you. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that.
So you keep things very just habit driven,
yes,
calendar focused, simple.
And I have a huge also board on my kitchen wall with a lot of motivation quotes that just say stuff like, I think my favorite one right now is, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. So that's something that I always like keep in mind. Okay, this might be challenging, but if you want to get better, no matter what it is in life, it has to be challenging for you. So push through it and you're going to be on the other side just better than you were now. And the other thing that I like is you don't want to be mediocre. So start working for it. Like, that's one thing. When I started training more and becoming that sports person that I am right now, I didn't want to be mediocre. I like, people come to our box and they train and they get home and they're fine and they just do it because they want to be fit. And I say that's completely fine. But for me, I want to be better. I want to be better than everybody else. And I don't want to be good for being a mom with 3 kids or look good for being a mom with 3 kids. I just want to look good. I just want to be good. I just want to be strong. And this sentence, like, oh, but you have 5 kids. That's all good and fine. And I think that's part of my life. And I am mostly like, number one is always, I'm a mom and my kids are my priority number one. But I don't want to be like fit for having 5 kids. I just want to be fit. And
yeah. And you are. She's so strong. Now I'm so happy because last week the gym opened within, limits, and some of us get to go in and train. But before all that, it was like, I would be like, Yulia, when are you training this week? I just want to like be around you when you're training, whether we're doing the same workout or not, or whatever, just being around you in that space is, it's incredible. It's so, so awesome. And so, let's talk a little bit more about that why that you said you wanted to be better than everybody else. Are you a competitive person? Like, is that you in general? Okay.
Yes, I'd say I'm, well, I don't know if I would say I'm a competitive person. It's just when I do something, I want to do it so I'm happy with it. I want to do it so I'm proud of it. And And that's in a lot of other, that transforms in a lot of other ways in my life too. The reason why I started being a CrossFit coach was actually because my husband had an injury. He was at a football game and he tore his Achilles. So from one day to another, he could not coach anymore. And it took him really long to get back. And I just jumped in and did classes because at that point I had enough experience. And I was just standing, I was like, okay, if I do this now, I don't want to do this just, to help you get fit. I actually want to be really, really good at it. I want to impact people's lives. And and through getting better at coaching, trying to get all the answers, like, how do you do that? What's your mistake? Why is it not working for you when it's working for somebody else? Finding all these little details, helping everybody with, so many people come in and they're like, okay, I have shoulder pain. Like, just learning so much more. I had the basics through my dance education with all how the body works and everything, because we had all this stuff covered, but it was just in a different way now. And it's just totally different working. I mainly worked with little kids and they don't have all these problems. Like, they fall on their face and they get up and they keep running and they're completely fine. Whereas an adult gets up in the morning with the left leg and all of a sudden, like, the hip hurts. It's just,
it's like one movement and it's like,
and you don't even have to do
to
anything.
your point, I love watching kids because it's just like, they're so playful. I recently started getting back on the monkey bars out at this park near where my boyfriend lives. And you do all these things that, like, as a kid, it's just like, yeah, it was easy. You just did it. And then as you get older, I mean, even as a fit and healthy person like myself, I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah, that was not as easy as it looks when you see kids all over the place. So yeah. Then you're working with adults too, who have all these, if we don't take care of ourselves, it's never too late to start and never too late to recover and take care of the body. But then, you're with the people who have some of these issues and problems and you get to help them work through that. And so do you feel like, what does that mean to, like, be the best or better than everybody else? When you set that goal for yourself and that competitive light, which I'm sure is always on, just kind of clicked into this CrossFit realm or this more fitness related, versus dance, but related, like, arena, if you will. When was that moment, or what did you think that meant when you're like, okay, I want to be the best, I want to be better than everybody? Who is everybody? What were your goals at that time, and have you reached it?
Well, I don't know when exactly that happened, but I think it was somewhere. We have these CrossFit competitions, these online competitions that are once a year. It's called regionals, and people all over the world do it. And the first regionals I did after Skylar was born, I was like spot 150. And Skylar was like 2 weeks old. I did not put any thought into it. I was like, I just want to get back and do something. And I want to see where I am starting. And the year after that, I was placed 56. So in Austria, that's all in Austria. I don't know worldwide my numbers, but in Austria was first, I was 155. And then a year later, I was 56. And then the year after that, I was spot 28. And I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. Along the way, you're just trying to get better and better and better. I started as a coach. Somewhere in between there too. I wanted to be better than the people that I teach, that I coach, to kind of earn my right also to coach them. And not just be this mom who fills in. Like, I want to have the right. I want to be there and not just have you tell me actually how to do stuff because I can't do it myself. I want to be like, you know what? Listen to me because I can do all of that stupid stuff. So
hey, big guy over there with all the muscles, let me show you how to do
exactly.
it right.
Yeah, exactly. That is how it is right now sometimes, and I enjoy it. Like, and then when I was placed 28, my husband came up to me and I was like, how is that possible? And he goes, finally, you're realizing how good you actually are. And I think that also that like something clicked there. I was like, you know what? I can be really good. So my goal was for the year after that to go to be top 20 in Austria with this certain CrossFit competition. And that was this last February. I was spot number 16. And I was 16. I was like, dang it, I missed 15. So close.
But your goal was to be in the top 20, right?
Yes,
so you made it there.
I made it there. Yes. But then we signed up for another competition and that got canceled due to this whole pandemic that is going on right now. And through just training at home, not having a training partner, which is also very nice when you want to train on a regular basis. Have somebody that motivates you every now and then and keeps you on your toes. Like you said, you enjoy training with me. I also enjoy training with people, because when I set a date, setting a date is really easy. I'd be like, okay, let's meet on Tuesday at this time and do it. And that's said and done. And then when I don't feel like training on that Tuesday, it doesn't matter, because somebody's waiting for me. So I got to go anyway. And then I'm there, and afterwards I will feel better. But so I didn't really have any trainings partner anymore, because I mostly trained at home in our basement. That competition got canceled. And I was like, why am I even doing this? Like, it's hard. I have to get up every morning before the kids do their homeschool, or just train afterwards. And I don't have anybody who like drives me anymore, because usually when you have to, let's say I train with you, Lunden, and I see your pace, and I'm like, hey, I want to beat Lunden, so I'm going to beat just faster. And that helps too, to just constantly trying to get better, because you want to beat the person that is next to you. And if they, let's say they take less weight than you, or do the movement easier, it doesn't matter. You still want to be faster. So I kind of lost my why a little bit. So I'm really glad that we have Open 2 again. Last week, we had one training session where we did some double unders, so jump rope and handstand walk. And we finished, me and my two training partners, we all finished the double unders roughly around the same time. And those two just breathed like, okay, let's just go. So I kick up on my hand and just start walking. And as I walk back, they were half done with the first. I'm like, okay, I'm going to just keep going, because I don't want them to catch me. And it's just, as I was doing it, like in the middle of it, I was just doing like my jumper. I'm like, this is so nice. I just love this. I have people next to me that can do the same stuff. It feels so good. I'm faster than them. Yes. So I guess I somewhat reached my goal as of being better than, let's say, normal people who just want to be fit. When people come in and they see what I can do, they don't expect it, because I have 5 kids, because I don't look, I'm small. I'm still small. I don't weigh much. And especially when I wear normal clothes, you don't really see that I'm actually kind of big or that I've got kind of big lately because to all the training. So they don't see it, but I know what I can do, and I don't know where I started. Where did I start?
Yeah, no, we were just talking about your why and how during, you know what's so funny is that we started talking about, going into quarantine and how you feel like you lost your why a little bit. And that's really how I feel about how the times right now. Sometimes it's just like, what day is it? What am I talking about? Just kind of whatever. But I think that's something that a lot of us have experienced. We had this why, we had this focus, we had these goals, all the things, like you said, you had a plan to, compete again in this competition, to see how you've improved, and all of these things just kind of went away. And we were left, if you will, with, just ourselves, like training for ourselves, for our life, for our health, and for all those things. And so now would you say that your why has transitioned a little bit? Do you feel like you still want to go after a top 15 or a top 10 spot? How do you feel like this kind of time to, be in that mindset and be in that space of, like you said, it's so early, tired. Like, did that shift a little bit? Or do you feel like now being back in the CrossFit box, you're kind of like, nah, that was just a moment?
I do think that it shifted a little bit more to, I'm not getting any younger. This is fun and all, but it also takes a toll on your body, training as much as I do. So usually when we talked earlier about, my week schedule, usually I train at least 5 times a week. And of those 5 times, I have like 3 days where I train like 2 hours. And the other 2 days, I usually have 2 training sessions. So I would train, let's say Monday, I would train in the morning, my 1.5 hours CrossFit. And then I have another hour of dancing at night. So a lot of times, or like on Thursdays, I would have at like 4:00, I would train with the people in the class, because their class is always really like just like 2 people are there. And I think they know that I train with them, and they love it too, because it's like, and they're trying to catch me. So that's kind of nice too. And then I train again with my shape class, and then I still have my training afterwards. So it's just a lot of volume. Last Saturday, I had a 2 hours training with one person. Then I had a half an hour break, and then I had another 2 hour training with 3 other people. I have these days at least twice, sometimes 3 times a week, where I train up to like 4 or 5 hours a day. And that takes a toll on your body, especially when already having 5 kids. That also doesn't just, even though I have a fit and healthy body, you can still tell that I pushed out 5 kids between my legs. So my hip is not how it was when I was like, let's say 19, because I had my first kid with 20. And I have to also like stretch a lot. But the nice thing there is my kids love to stretch with me. They also love, my oldest one is 11 now. She also loves to do like shape stuff. So we can do those shape classes together at home, because she's like, I want to get a strong tummy so I can do like all these things, handstands, walk and stuff. But now it kind of has transitioned to do a little bit less, because you are kind of where you want it to be. You're better than you ever thought that you could get, especially at this age. So just calm down a little bit, try to still get better, but make it a little bit more focused on your personal well-being instead of what you can do. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it's less, okay, I have to be able to squat 100 kilo. It's more, let's squat. Let's see where it takes me. And if today, I end at 70 kilo, then hey, I'll end there. Who cares?
And that's really okay with you? Do you sit well with that?
I say that now. Let's talk again in like a month.
Okay, we'll have you back on. We'll talk about it too. But no, I go through phases like that too, where it's like, no, now is time to, listen to the body, take a step back, but I just feel like that's from years and years and years of being in the game, if that makes sense. I don't feel like you can ever find this is a topic I talk a lot about with my VIP clients, and I feel like it makes sense here. I just feel like to really, really find your balance, I feel like sometimes we have to have been at some of the extremes, to know what it feels like to be really disciplined, want to hit a certain, have all the things, and then being able to say like, okay, but here's like my sweet spot, if that makes sense, of how I feel good. And then sometimes it's like, no, I feel like right now I need a plan. I'm going to either come up with something on my own. I'm going to, check out, some other coaches, or just, do some research here and there and make a plan so that I can follow it and kind of have some structure there. So I feel like it's always kind of this dance of just tuning into yourself and knowing, okay, like, do I really need that push right now that a training plan, accountability buddy, and all that provides? Or do I need to take a little bit of a step back and, like you said, just squat and see where it takes me? I really like that quote. I might quote you, but just to say, hey, this is like my intention for the workout. These are the muscle groups I'm training today. These are the exercises that I'm going to do. Here's, how many sets, reps, weight, that's like what I think I'll be at. This is where I was maybe last time or whatever, but being able to be okay with where we are at right in this moment it can be really challenging. And so that's why I ask, because it's like, sometimes we're just kind of surfing the wave, which is like, great. That's what people should do, is like tune into their body and figure out when it's cool and it's go time to press hard, not just for like the physical results, but I often, mirror that with what's going on in my life. If there's a personal breakthrough that I need to have, in business or in family stuff or whatever, I really channel that into my workouts and say like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, but here's like that underlying meaning of what this workout means for me. And here's how it's going to transcend into other areas of my life, and being able to kind of distinguish that, is today, am I being lazy and I just need to push myself? Or is my body really, really trying to tune in and tell me something and give me a message? And I feel like only after, I've been training consistently now for almost 14 years. And so I feel like only over the last, I don't think it takes 10 years to get there to figure that out. But I just mean only over the last like 4 to 6 years have I really felt like at peace with saying like, okay, it's cool if like on paper, repetition, sets, weights, all that stuff, there's not progress there, but finding that progress in myself of saying like, okay, I'm tuning into my body, I'm listening, I'm, not doing what I did before, which was push my limits, and then you end up sick, tired, injured, all of those things. So does that kind of dance, do you feel like, for lack of better terms, dance, do you feel like that's kind of where you are, where you're just kind of like, in that space where you're just trying to figure out what's working for you? Or do you have a plan of action?
When it comes to fitness, I try to always have a plan of action because it just makes it a lot easier to do stuff when you have a plan. But I have my same plan that I had, like, let's say 6 months ago. That is, I have this training plan that somebody else writes, and I look it up usually at the beginning of the week, look a little bit, what are the days? Like I have on Monday, it tells me to do this and that. On Tuesday, it tells me to do this and that. But let's just say, like, yesterday we did snatches, which is you have the weight on the ground and you have to, like, push it with your hips up right away over your body. And the weight was this and that numbers. And I just started doing, I was like, this doesn't feel right. This is way too light. So yesterday it was actually the opposite. I was like, you know what? I feel really good. I want to do this now. So I added, like, I think 20% of the weight that we should have done just because it felt good. So I have my plan, but last week on Monday, I looked at the plan that was there and I was like, you know what? All of this just sounds terrible. It all sounds like stuff that I really don't want to do. I don't feel like it. And I just completely scratched it. I knew I had my dance class at night anyway. I was like, I'm going to do 1 hour of dance fitness tonight. More than enough. Let's just skip it all. So I do have my plan, but right now I'm at a point where I just try to just work it out day by day. And I have my certain times where I train. And like last Monday where I just skipped it, I was like, okay, so now I actually have a free morning and what am I doing? So I started putting towels on my shower that I wanted to do like 2 years ago already. Like I had the towels here for 2 years now and I did that and it felt amazing.
I like that you said that too, is not just like scratching that, like listening to your body, tuning in. Okay, this does not sound like something that I want to do. I'm not excited about it. I don't want to, but instead of then shaming yourself for the whole week, which is what a lot of people do, is like, oh, I said I was going to do my workout, but I didn't. I wanted to do that. I'm a failure. All these, shame stuff starts going in. But I like how you kind of reframed that and said like, okay, I have this time. I'm going to take these towels that have been sitting here for 2 years. And I'm sure a lot of moms listening can relate to like, yeah, the things that you want to do. And just like you said, you're a mom first and you have your priorities. So certain things like towels don't get put up maybe in the bathroom for some time, but using that time to then accomplish something else, check something else off, just get a little something, make a little progress in a different area that you wanted is really awesome and really powerful. What are your, I know you mentioned a little bit about your kids, like wanting to work out or liking to stretch or whatever. What do they think about working out? Like, I know they see you and your husband and they're in the game too. Sometimes I've seen them, sorry about that. I've seen them, in your videos and all the amazing stuff that you post. But like, I also see on the other side of the coin, throughout my career and just, in passing, where there's kids who are at a very young age thinking that you need to work out to look a certain way or to be on a diet or eat healthy, so that you don't gain weight or do those types of things. How do you spread that message to your kids of like health and fitness as like, that's the foundation, like that's the name of the game. It's not, something that you do later on down the road when you realize you're, unhealthy and overweight and all of those things. What do they think about that? How do you teach that to them?
So I'm trying to make sure. So when I do sports, they know that I do all the sports. And when they want to join me, they're always welcome to join. And if they don't feel like it, then they don't need to do that at all. So I'm not trying to force anything on them and say like, hey, you got to do sports. It's really important. It's like, hey, especially my middle one, Cece, we had during our quarantine at the beginning, she was there for every single workout because she just had a blast. She just loves that. And then the older ones, every now and then they joined in because they wanted to. But I try to make sure that they know we are doing this for fun. This is supposed to be fun. We want to enjoy doing sports. We don't want to, especially when younger. I know how my parents were. They were kind of focused in that area too, to make sure that you hit certain goals. And that for me made me feel like a failure when I didn't hit those goals. Mm-hmm. And I don't want that for my kids. I want to make sure that sports is fun for them because I want them to do them all their lives. I want them to grow all doing sports and enjoying it. And that I love to run. I really do. But I hated it when I was a kid because my parents were like, you have to be so fast. And with my kids, when we go running, especially with Kaylee, like she sometimes likes to run with us. I'm like, go your pace. And if I'm too fast, just let me know. We can slow down or you can just run by yourself and I keep going. just keep running. And if you're like, if I walk as fast as you run, you still run, and it's running and it's fine. Like there is not a certain goal that you need to hit. There is no distance that you need to hit. There is no speed that you need to hit. Just run. Make sure that you have fun doing it, kind of as fun as running can be when you're a kid.
Yeah, but that's great. I mean, seeing it as fun and something that you guys do for fun too, because even, you lead by example. My parents were both great examples for health and fitness growing up too. Sports and stuff was always fun. I got to jump on the bike sometimes when my mom would go run, and that was fun and exciting for me. And my dad always waking up and moving and doing his thing and things like that. And just really seeing it, as fun. And then we were in organized sports and stuff as a kid. I know that doesn't exist so much here, but just really seeing it as fun and something that you do forever was a huge, game. Because then, sometimes people are working out at home and in front of their kids too, and, talking crap about their bodies and what they look like. And, I need to, do this exercise and this because it's going to help my butt or get rid of my jiggly arms or things like that. But needing, being careful about how you speak about that in front of kids, because it shapes their whole life of what they think about that. And so
that's the other thing that I really try to avoid. Be like, we got to do this to stay thin. Like when I talk about sports, it's never about how it makes you look. If my kids, we had one point, it was a while ago, like I would say at least a year, where my oldest one said something like, no, she can't eat so much because then she's going to get fat. And I'm just saying, like, so like, just eat. If you want to eat, then eat. First of all, do you see what I eat? Yes. You see how much I eat? Yes. Do you think I'm fat? No. See, you can eat. Food is fuel. You need fuel to be able to do not just sports, but for your everyday life. You need fuel. If you want your heart to beat, you need to fuel it. And that's food. Food is not an enemy that makes you fat. It's for you. It's important to live. Like if you wouldn't eat, you would die. And every time we talk about different bodies, I'm like, as long as the body is healthy, it's fine. Who cares if you have a little stomach or if you have, like you said earlier, jiggly arms? I have like some parts of my body that I don't like too much either, but I always try to be really confident and show my kids that I like my body, because actions still speak louder than words. And I feel like if I show them that I'm comfortable in my body, no matter what it looks, I'm hoping that I can kind of pass it on to them. I had big troubles with eating too. I had a huge eating disorder when I was younger. I was way too skinny. And I just want to make sure that they know that it's just not important how you look. It's important for me, it's important what my body can do. I want my body to be able to carry me through this life. And I want my body to be able to run with my kids, to play with them. I want to get old. I want to see my great grandkids someday. And that's important to me. And for that, I need to be active and I need to eat healthy. And I'm not eating to look a certain way, and I'm not training to look a certain way. I want to feel a certain way. I want to feel good about it. And that's the next thing, and then I train so much that actually my body starts to hurt. And that kind of made me rethink too. It's like, okay, so I'm actually on the other side now, where I kind of hurt my body with this overtraining. So maybe let's like take a tiny little step back, train so you are happy, so you feel really good. And so you can actually not be a hypocrite, like I tell my kids, you do it because you want to be healthy and you want to grow old. And then I do it and then I don't feel miserable, which doesn't really happen anyway. But sometimes it's just things are acting up.
Yeah. Just a reminder. Hey, practice what you preach. Hey,
exactly. Because I always have this sentence in my mind that says, I can't hear what you're saying because your actions are speaking so loud.
Yeah.
So whenever I do something, I'm like, okay, I got to be careful. I can tell my kids all I want, don't yell with each other. Don't fight with each other. If I'm like, hey, don't yell with each other.
It's just, they're kind of like, huh? What are you trying to tell me to do with that loud voice?
So
totally. It was so great talking with you. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I just feel like if anyone can get like 1% of the motivation from you on this podcast that I feel like I get from you on a regular basis through social media, and then fingers and toes and everything crossed are back to our regular training routine and schedule slowly but surely, then mission accomplished here. Thank you so much, Julia, for your time and just for your message that you're sharing with us today, and that you continue to share with a lot of people that get to come in contact with you through fitness and through the many years of school that your kids have. I'm sure you're coming into contact with a lot of people that get a lot of blessings from being around you. Where can people find you? So I'll put the links down below in the description, but tell us here too.
So the easiest way would probably be Facebook or Instagram. I'm on Facebook as Julia Cumberworth. I'm also on Instagram as Julia_Cumberworth. So just Google my name and you'll probably find me. And usually I'm more active on Instagram. So if you want to see a little bit what I'm doing and also what I'm doing with the kids, just go to my Instagram account and click on the story. And usually there's always something up there of the stupid things that I do all day and the fun things.
It's all good. It's all awesome. I love seeing your updates from on Instagram of what your family's doing and the kids and the homeschooling and the workouts and the schedules and all the things. Some days I'm like, it's only you, Lunden. I think about you and I'm like, okay, I could have, a tribe of 6 other people to take care of, plus myself, all the things. I got this. And you're a huge motivator. So thank you so much for being here. You guys definitely want to check her out on Instagram and on Facebook. Get inspired, get motivated, and connect with Julia there. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. We'll check back in with you again. We'll have you back on to see how your goals have shifted and changed throughout the springtime of us being able to come out and bloom a little bit here. But thank you for your time, and we really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Self-Love and Sweat, the podcast. Hey, do me a favor. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, give us a review. This really helps a lot. And share this with a friend. I'm only one person, and with your help, we can really spread the message of self-love and sweat and change more lives all around the world. I'm Lunden Souza, reminding you that you deserve a life full of passion, presence, and purpose, fueled by self-love and sweat. This podcast is a Hit Spot Austria production.